How's it going, everyone? Andrew Garcia here, founder of The Arena. Today I want to talk about the best cold call opener in 2024. All right, so the secret to cold calling is not to nail the opening. Everyone thinks it is, but after thousands of cold calls I've done myself over my entire career as an account executive, I can tell you the opener is not the way you crush cold calling. The opening is very important though. Okay, I want to make that clear. But just getting the opening right doesn't mean you'll have the results you're looking for. In this video, I'm going to spell out what the point of a cold call is, the different ways a cold call can go, and how to handle each. And finally, the secret to getting the best results in your cold call efforts. Again, hey everyone, Andrew Garcia here. I was a strategic account executive at Salesforce and was a top performer. I'd reached the top of the AE ladder at one of the best software companies in the world, and I decided to go to the next level and start my own company, The Arena. What we do is take people that know what it means to work really, really hard, veterans, teachers, athletes, plumbers, and anyone else with work ethic and drive, and we teach these people tech sales. We help them break in, and we help them pursue mastery. If you want to learn more, go to arena.vet. All right, so let's dive right in. What is cold calling? What's the point? Why do we do it? The point of a cold call is to get a meeting at a later time with the person you're calling. So if you're cold calling Mark, it's to get Mark to agree to meet with you next week for 30 minutes to discuss a specific problem that you think you can solve for him. The point of cold calling is not to sell Mark something on that call. All right, so let's dive into the best opening. Phone's ringing. Prospect's name is Mike. Mike answers. Mike, hello? Kind of pissed that he's answering a phone call where he doesn't recognize the number, but also slightly curious who's calling. He's curious enough to pick up the phone, knowing that he doesn't know who's calling. It's a phone number he doesn't recognize, but he picks up anyways, which says he's not completely closed off to cold calls, otherwise he probably wouldn't answer this. It's possible that he's expecting a call from someone else that he doesn't know the number of, but he's probably not opposed to cold calls. So just keep that in mind. You say, hey, is this Mike? Mike says, yeah, this is Mike. Who's this? Hey Mike, this is Andrew Garcia with The Arena. Listen, Mike, I know I'm calling out of nowhere here. You got just a few seconds. Let me tell you why I called. So from here, there's really two ways this could go. Option one is you could say something along the lines of, yeah, sure, but let's make it quick. Or, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. What do you got? Really? He's like saying, yes, go ahead. I'll accept that this is a cold call, and I'm willing to hear what you have to say. Option two is he could go, yeah, I really don't have any time. Or, nope, thanks. And at that point, he could hang up, which is what a lot of people do. They say, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And they just hang up the phone. Totally fine. What we do with those people is we keep them on the call list and we try to catch them again later. We nurture them, right? Or we can do something else. So let me cover option one first. So option one was Mike says, yeah, sure, but let's make it quick. I say, great. Well, I'll get right to it then. Mike, sounds good. I'll get right to it then. We take gritty, self-motivated, blue-collar-like workers and teach them how to be really good at sales. Top-tier military veterans, teachers, plumbers, and anyone else who's willing to do the work to break into tech sales and be the best and pursue mastery. We then take those people and we introduce them to people like you who might be interested in hiring gritty sales folks. And then Mike can respond, oh, that sounds good, not good. I have headcount, I don't have headcount, whatever the point. The point is, from that point, it can go in a million different directions and you have to start to think on your feet. But we're just talking about openers here, so let's just focus on the opening. So that's one potential opening. Essentially, Mike says, yep, sounds good. I'm willing to hear your little pitch. You give him the pitch, okay? If he's interested, the conversation continues, and the goal is to set up more time with Mike at a later date, all right? So that's option one. All right, here's option 2. Mike says, you know what? I really don't have time, or thanks, but no thanks. But he doesn't hang up. He could hang up, but he doesn't. So he's saying, I don't have time, but he stays on the phone. So you have a few options here, and I suggest you do a bit of an A-B test to see what works best for you. But essentially, you need to be able to boil your offer down into a 5-second pitch, or just something very, very short for times like this when someone says, sorry, I don't really have the time right now, but I'm also not hanging up, and you're kind of in this little awkward space where you have like silence for literally a second or two. You have to read the room, read the call very quickly. The reality is if they don't have the time right now, it's really hard to get them on the phone later. So what I do is I present my 5-second pitch anyways, and I do it in an expedited way. And so it sounds something like this. Say, Mike, got it. I'll be super quick then. We take top-tier military veterans, athletes, or anyone else who knows what it means to work hard and teach them how to be really, really good at sales, and then introduce them to people like you who might be interested in hiring another gritty sales rep. What do you think? And then I wait for what Mike says. Sometimes I say, you know what, that does sound pretty awesome. Let's set up some more time, or let's talk about it right now. All of a sudden, I have time because that sounds interesting. And sometimes they say thanks, but no thanks. But let's go over this real quick. I said, Mike says, no, I really don't. I wait a second, and I say, okay, got it. I'll just be super quick then. We take top-tier military veterans, athletes, or anyone else who knows what it means to work hard and teach them how to be really, really, really good at sales. Then I introduce them to people like you who might be interested in hiring another gritty sales rep. All right, so what did I do there? I basically said the same thing in my other option. So my other option is option 1, where they are willing to talk. I said this, but now that they're not willing to talk, I say the same thing, but what did I do different? I just said it a little faster, and it probably took up just as much time to say the other version as this version, but it gives the impression that I'm being respectful of his time by talking a little faster. So what as a human being, when someone says, okay, got it, let me be quick, and then you actually are quick, what I'm actually doing there subtly is building some trust. I'm doing what I said I was going to do. Let me be quick, and then I'm actually quick. All right, Mike, let me be quick. Got it. I'll be super quick then. We take top-tier military veterans, athletes, or anyone else who knows what it means to work hard and teach them how to be really, really, really good at sales. Then we introduce them to people like you who might be interested in hiring another gritty sales rep. All right? So first thing to take away from that is I was quick. Second is I'll be super quick. We take top-tier military veterans, athletes, or anyone else who knows what it means to work hard and teach them how to be really, really, really good at sales. Really, really. I could have said really once. I could have said it twice. I said it 3 times. Really, really, really good at sales. What is that? Why did I do that? Because I'm not using fancy jargon, fancy lingo. I'm just trying to sound like Mike's buddy, you know, like someone that is familiar. I'm not trying to sound overly smart or use any buzzwords. I'm just coming across as a normal dude, a normal human. We take him and teach him how to be really, really, really good at sales. Huh. That is different than what most people say on these cold calls. Most people try to sound super professional and buzzwordy and we optimize sales talent. No. Sound like a normal human. We then introduce them to people like you who might be interested in hiring another gritty sales rep. So I pause and I emphasize the word another. And it doesn't even have to be the word another. I chose another because it implies like you already have gritty sales reps on your team, which implies you're already a good leader. So by emphasizing the word another, it's almost like I'm complimenting Mike because you're already a good leader who's hiring gritty sales reps. Do you want another one? You know, you're already doing your job well, Mike. Do you want another gritty sales rep to add to your team? Whether you hired them as their gritty sales rep or you developed them to be gritty, you're already doing it right. Let's add another one. So it sounds like this. Then I introduce them to people like you who might be interested in hiring another gritty sales rep. It just breaks it up a little bit. You hear that? Another gritty sales rep. I wait for what Mike says. Sometimes they say, you know what? That sounds pretty awesome. Let's set up some more time. And sometimes they say, Thanks, but no thanks. And that's fine. On to the next. Put Mike in the nurture sequence, and we move on. All right, option 2. All right, but what's the secret? I said there's a secret. All right, and wait till the answer. Here we go. The secret to getting the best results in cold calling is mindset. Mindset is nothing more than how you see the world. Hear me out here, guys. If we don't get this right, then the rest of cold calling will never be successful, because it takes a strong mindset to be able to withstand the obstacles and challenges you will inevitably face in both cold call preparation and cold call execution. If mindset was a flowchart, it would look something like this. Thoughts determine your beliefs determine your actions determine your outcomes. In order to have ideal outcomes, we must start with ideal thoughts. So, first thought that will never get you to be good at results while cold calling is, cold calling's dead. I've heard a bunch of people talk about this, blah, blah, blah. I personally don't agree. I don't think it's dead. I cold call to this day. I've been cold calling for years as a senior, strategic, fancy, blah, 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 account executive. Now I'm a founder of my own company, still cold calling. Cold calling is not dead, super effective. But as you can imagine, people that think this probably believe this, and therefore never really do cold calling, and they never get meetings with it. Bad thought, bad outcome. Cold calling is dead, doesn't work, or isn't worth my time, etc., etc. All thoughts that will not serve you if you want to get good at cold calling. Instead, start with this thought. How do I master cold calling? How do I make it so that that years from now I'm so good and I've experienced so many different scenarios in cold calling that I've mastered the art and craft of cold calling? Now, it's a good question to ask. It's a good thought to have to start. Now, if you're not interested in mastering cold calling, that's fine, right? But it's important to know at least what it takes. You don't necessarily have to master the art of cold calling, but have an idea of what it would take to master it would be helpful as a start. Like if there were a book titled The Complete Guide to Master the Art of Cold Calling, what would be helpful to know in this situation is at least what are the chapters in that book. I might not read the book, I might not study the book, I might not write a whole synopsis on the book of Mastery of Cold Calling. I'd at least like to know what the chapters are. I'd at least like to know, like, what are the high-level ingredients to master something. And so the chapters of this book might be something like, what is cold calling? Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Why do people cold call? When is it most effective? How to prepare for cold calling. What to do when cold calling isn't working. How to track cold calling metrics. Biggest mistakes cold callers make, so on and so forth, right? But what most books probably wouldn't include is the mindset required to be good at cold calling. Most books or materials on sales help you with the tactical side only. They help you with techniques and tips, but they don't give you a good idea of the foundation of what makes someone good at something. I grew up playing soccer, and throughout my career playing D1 soccer, I went up against some of the best players in the entire country. How did I get there? I had the mindset that I was going to be the best that I could be. It was that simple. So I figured out what it took to be really good at soccer, and I did those things a lot. I had the mindset of mastery. I wanted to pursue mastery in soccer. So I figured out, what does it take to get really good, and let me do those things a lot, right? The thought is, what does it take? The belief is, it takes these things. The action is, I'm going to do these things. The outcome, I was one of the best soccer players in the country. I spent thousands and thousands of hours juggling a soccer ball in my front yard. All right, think about that. Juggling a soccer ball for hours and hours and hours. I would see if I could juggle a ball for 10 touches, then 50, then 100, then 1,000. Then I would start trying to go for time. Could I juggle a soccer ball for 5 minutes without dropping it? Finally, I think I juggled a soccer ball for 30 minutes without stopping at one point. I could have kept going, but really I got bored. Which, interestingly enough, is another obstacle, the boredom. We'll talk about that another time. Okay, so here's the secret, all right? I'm going to boil it down. Practice and preparation. So if that was anticlimactic, I'm really sorry. But this isn't rocket science, everyone. You want to be the best at cold call openings? It's the person who can prepare and practice the best and most for their cold call opening. Pick an opener, the one I use is fine, and then master it, right? Here's another secret. What matters most in a cold call is how you sound, not what you say. Let me say that again. What matters most is how you sound, not what you say. So your tone of voice, the language you use, the speed at which you talk, the ability to be an active listener, your attention to detail, if you're going to ask the right questions at the right time, these things matter. For example, if someone picks up the phone and you hear a lot of noise in the background, maybe they're at a theme park or they're at the beach, or you can just hear kids in the background playing. Hey Mike, sounds like I got you at a bad time. You're with your kids. Is it okay if I tell you why I'm calling, or do you want me to call you at a better time? Right? That's attention to detail. It's being an active listener, right? Having some perception and thinking on your feet very quickly. Okay? How you say what you say is most important. So when I talk to Mike, who answers my cold call, I slow down. I be deliberate and articulate. Act as if I know Mike already. Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike. Listen, man, this is Andrew Garcia. I run a company called The Arena. I know I'm calling out of nowhere here, man. You got a few seconds? Let me tell you why I called. Doesn't that just sound a little more inviting? I do some pausing. I use a warm tone of voice. I do the drawn out, hey, Mike, instead of, hi, Mike. Hello, Michael. No. Hey, Mike. Little drawn out, right? This is how humans talk. But for some reason, we get on cold calls and we get nervous, right? We turn into freaking robots all of a sudden. So act as if I know Mike already, like we're old friends. It's the warm tone of voice, the drawn out words, the laughter in your smile. If you can smile while you're cold calling, if you can find a way to laugh a little bit. Hey, Mike, sorry, listen, I know I'm calling out of nowhere here, and you weren't expecting my call. You got a few seconds, let me tell you why I called. Even that little pause, listen, I know you weren't expecting my call, so you got a few seconds? You can tell I'm smiling in the way I'm talking. Be human. So how do you do this? How do you get good at this? Practice and reps and practice and reps. People think you need to actually make thousands of cold calls to get practice. That helps, but you don't. You can just practice by saying your script out loud with all the right nuances and tones of voice. Hey, Mike, Andrew here with The Arena. How you doing? I know I'm calling out of nowhere. You got a few seconds? I'd love to tell you why I called. Hey, Mike, Andrew Garcia here. I run a company called The Arena. I know I'm calling out of nowhere here. You got a few seconds? Let me tell you why I called. Hey, Mike. Listen, I know I'm calling out of nowhere here. My name's Andrew Garcia. I run a company called The Arena. You got a few seconds? I'd love to tell you why I called. Right? A few different versions there, but I just spit it out over. Just get used to saying it over. I'm telling you guys, reps, practice, reps. It makes a huge difference. If you don't believe me, try it. Stop this video right now. If you have a cold call opening, go practice it 20 times. Tell me you don't feel better. Tell me you don't just feel more confident saying it after the 20th time. Do it 50 times, right? I have students in my program that do it dozens of times. Just practicing saying your script out loud with all the right nuances and tones of voice is super valuable. Think of yourself as an actor or actress practicing your lines for an audition of your life, right? Think of yourself like, some famous actor who's just practicing his lines. And when they practice lines, they practice tone of voice, they practice pausing. They do all these things because as an actor, you got to sell it. As a cold caller, you got to sell it. You have to be convincing, and tone of voice is the first thing people hear. There's more to being good at cold calling, but this alone will be a game changer, I promise you. If you want help or practice doing it with a group or hard-charging aspirational sales pros, The Arena is full of these types of people, and we're doing this kind of practice all day, every day. So if that's interesting, you want to join a group of other people that are working on this kind of stuff, check out arena.vet and you can join us. All right? If you see me in a fight with a bear, pray for the bear. See you guys.